Good morning or good afternoon, whatever time you guys are listening to us. Welcome back to another episode of the Layman's AI podcast. I am Adam.
And my name is Brian.
And Brian, tonight we are recording episode number 30. 30. We've done this 30
Wow.
times already.
Yeah, it's doesn't feel like it
It does
sometimes. It
not.
feels it feels just like yeah, it just we just keep meeting every week and chatting about something that we love.
I know. I know.
And you
It's,
know what? You know what they say, when you do something you love, you never work a day in your life.
yeah, except we're not making money on this yet. Yet.
Yeah.
I'll put the word yet. So,
Yes, yes. But any sponsors, send us an email. Links
or
in the description.
yeah, or coffee, something,
Yeah, free
jelly
coffee
beans. I
for
don't care
life. I'll
what it
take
is.
it.
Just send
Yeah,
us something.
exactly.
But because this is an episode that ends in zero, if our audience remembers, Brian and I said anytime we hit an episode that ends in zero, we would upload previous episodes into a certain AI tool and say, what can we talk about that we haven't talked about already? And Brian, you're the one who took the lead on this one with Claude Projects. Is that correct?
That is right. So, basically, kind of expand on what Adam just said. Basically, every 10th episode, we let AI write the outline for us. Just kind of something fun we do. You know, we advocate for using AI in your specific applications and everything. And I actually use Claude Projects. If you remember, might remember we use it for our Thanksgiving episode.
Hmm.
Pretty much what I do is I take a text of all the titles and show notes for each one of our episodes, and I tell Claude, say, hey, write us an outline, create us an episode for our next one. And it actually gave us a few ideas. A couple of the ideas, we actually had a few episodes planned ahead of time, but we
Yes.
will get there. But either way, the episode I chose for its outline for us today is the AI bubble question, hype versus reality check. And I think
Right.
this was a very timely one because
Yes.
there's a lot of hype, a lot of mythology, I would say, or I'm not sure how to use it, but a lot of oversold on the AI
I
concept of AI.
I think we're seeing some signs right now in the market and other places that okay, this isn't exactly doing what we thought it would be doing by now, but also we're seeing some exciting stuff come on the horizon as well. So
Hmm.
there is a little bit of hype. I will share. I thought when you and I first started this podcast back in the spring that the
Hmm.
hype on social media of every little tool was just out of control. It made it seem like if you
Yeah.
didn't have the right tool with the right description or anything, or right subscription with it, you were like behind. And I always
Hmm.
told everybody that I work with guard against that. Just use as much of the free stuff as possible. And I think you and I hit that pretty good with our first
Oh yeah.
couple episodes. But yeah, there is some hype going on right now, and Claude did a phenomenal job of providing us an outline to discuss things because it even gave us some answers that, after verification, were spot on.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of how does this compare to previous bubbles, as I should say? Because everyone's talking about right now,
Right.
it's kind of the, catchphrase right now is that AI is in a bubble and the bubble's about to burst. When's the AI bubble about to burst? And some of the comparisons, the dot-com bubble, that was a famous one in the 90s where
Hmm.
everyone was coming out with the dot-com, arugulasalad.com. That's an old Norm Macdonald commercial. I don't know if you remember that one.
That's been a
But
while.
yeah, and then comparing it to that one and cryptocurrency, everyone was buying in on the Bitcoin train. I'm not sure, how stable that's going to be in the long run. But this is one that I don't think is a very fair comparison. NFTs, non-fungible transferables. I
Hmm.
was never big on NFTs to begin with. I saw what they were, and I'm like, people are actually paying big money for these things.
Right. Brian, I'll share with you layman's perspective on this.
Hmm.
I am well aware of what the dot-com bubble was. I am very aware of what the cryptocurrency bubble was. The NFTs, I don't recall that being a big bubble that was discussed often.
No, it was more of a hype.
Oh,
I
that
mean,
was more hype. Okay, so that
yeah,
wasn't necessarily a bubble. That was more hype. Okay.
yeah, it was. I mean, you guys can kind of call it a bubble because people were paying big money for these. They're basically images that you can use, and it kind of went along with the blockchain of cryptocurrency, and NFTs were kind of time-stamped sort of images that you can use, and you can like kind of transfer ownership and everything. But
Okay.
little known secret about that, you can only purchase them with cryptocurrency. So everyone kind of saw that as sort of a way to artificially inflate the value of cryptocurrency. So
Okay.
it doesn't really compare to NFTs at all or anything like that. But is AI different, or is this just kind of another bubble that's going to burst? I think that's a big question. You have to ask everybody. You have to ask investors of everything.
Yeah.
Is this bubble about to burst? I'm kind of on the fence, to be honest with you.
So am I, but I'm seeing some signs that I don't like. So
Hmm.
it's kind of funny because you and I right now we're really talking more along the lines of stock market and investment as opposed to, um, AI itself. But the catch is, if this bubble does burst, if AI, all this investment in AI, I mean, we're talking billions of dollars here that are going into places like Nvidia,
Hmm.
OpenAI, places like that. They're all getting these $1 billion evaluations. They're getting this money. Their stocks are going up, and then they get steady. Then they start going down. You guys know how the stock market works. I don't need to
Oh
lecture.
yeah,
Most people know how that works.
definitely.
But what's curious to me is if you're a layman and you're not somebody that's terribly invested in the market, when a bubble bursts and there's billions of dollars in it at the level that AI is at, it does impact you.
Hmm.
It,
Yeah,
it- it's not that
definitely.
it can, it does impact you. You just don't know
Hmm.
where yet.
Yeah, that's kind of like the housing market. Everyone thought just homeowners were going to be affected. Nope, it
Nope.
has a ripple effect.
I did not
When
own a
that
home and I almost lost my job because of that.
I
Yeah.
was laid off for a couple months, and the market didn't really recover for a while, and I was just getting into the industry I was in, so it took a long while for people to
Hmm.
hire someone like me. So that's why I can
Yeah.
sympathize with a lot of college kids coming out having to fight this AI bubble.
Right.
But there's a lot of money being spent on this. I mean, it's like very well known how many
Yeah.
data centers are getting built. Should we be building them? People are starting to push back on them. People are asking questions, and we kind of touched on this in a previous episode.
Hmm.
And are we building them too fast? I think that's a legit question, and I think there is a legit concern right there. Are we building these too fast? Because we're just like data center, data center, data center, and
Yep.
do we need all these? That's kind of like the question, I would say. And what's the return on investment going to be? It's going to take a long time to get a return on investment on these things.
It is. And you pair that with the workforce study that was the MIT report. I think you mentioned
Hmm.
this one. Or 95, it was nothing ridiculous, like 95% of organizations that were studied with MIT saw zero
Hmm.
return on Gen AI investment.
Yeah,
Like
that's
zero return on it, 95%. That's a red flag.
that's pretty insane, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just full disclosure here, I asked Claude also to provide a list of sources to back up the points and everything, and this was
Hmm.
one of the sources that it
Right.
brought to us and everything. We can post it if anybody wants to ask the questions. But I just ask that you trust us right now that we do vet our sources when we can. But
Yes.
either way, yeah, 95% getting zero return on Gen AI investment. And generative AI is, the big
That's the
fear
big
factor
ones.
right now. That is the big fear factor right now.
That's the big
But
ones.
you kind of got to go back and think about that. Um, Generative AI, tried to use Runway, tried to look at it a little bit, and you're like making 10-second clips, 10-second clips and everything. Um, and you're expecting people to pay for this, and so much money goes in to the development of this technology, and everybody's running a whatchamacallit, like a generative AI tool and everything, and of course, there's going to be too many people trying to build a generative AI tool, and I've made this comparison before. This reminds me almost of the craft beer boom as well.
Mm,
I mean, I think you remember the craft beer boom. There was you
I
go to a grocery store, it was the
I
hottest thing on the
miss it.
block. Everyone's
Yeah.
got a brewery.
I miss it.
And
I miss those days.
yeah, yeah, and
Uh,
then you kind of realize, oh, you know what? We actually have to make money.
yep.
And a lot of people didn't have the business plan. Oh, they can brew beer all right. They can brew it in their buckets and everything, and they can ship it out, but you have to explain to these people at the store, why should I buy your beer for $2 more a bottle as opposed to this other craft
Yeah.
brewery that's able to scale it properly.
And not to mention, during the craft beer boom, there was a lot of hype centered
Hmm.
around not just
Hmm.
craft beer, but when the new one popped up, oh, this place is great. They're doing this type of beer.
Hmm.
And actually, when it was at the boom, I actually felt it was kind of at its worst, where you weren't always getting good quality.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it
when the
was.
bubble kind of popped, now the ones that start up are usually they have relevant experience. The team seems to be
Hmm.
better than normal. So I'm
They have an
kind of
actual
hoping that if
business
there
plan.
is, yes, if there's an actual bubble burst of AI, I
Hmm.
am hopeful that the recovery will mean a better long-term product that's more consistent and useful to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, and I'd like to. I'll admit I didn't read too in depth with all these sources, but
Mhm.
I like to see how many of these Gen AI investments are going in, like how many of these organizations and companies and everything. Because I've tried,
Yeah.
looking up music generators. I've tried looking up video generators.
Hmm.
The intro, if you watch our YouTube channel, you made that with the video generative AI and everything.
I did.
I'm
Yeah.
wanting to look into some more of that. But how many companies are actually trying this right now? And you have to differentiate yourself from the market and everything like that. And it's just going to be curious to say or to see what happens next, essentially.
Hmm. Should we move on to segment two? Because we talk about how
Oh
it's
yeah.
interesting to see. This is the hype versus reality. What's working and what's not? I did really,
Hmm.
this is probably my favorite section that Claude came up with in terms of talking about.
Yeah.
Here we go. So the first stuff is the stuff that's been overpromised. The
Hmm.
first bullet point, 100%. We've been hearing this for years that autonomous vehicles were 5 years
Hmm.
away from having them all over the place. We've heard that for a decade. And now there's more
Hmm.
now than there was 5 years ago, but it is definitely not where they said we were going to be with these things.
Oh, the level of technology for autonomous vehicles, and they use forms of AI as well.
Hmm.
That's kind of where it ties in with our, sort of AI segment in here. The autonomous vehicles, the full self-driving Tesla is the most famous one. It uses AI along the road to identify all the objects, where to turn and everything like that, and it
Hmm.
processes and everything. But the autonomous vehicles, personally, someone who's has worked in the automation industry, I do not like mixing autonomous vehicles with manually driven vehicles. If you're going to go full autonomous vehicles, it has to be like a place like, example, New York City. If all of Manhattan was just autonomous vehicles, just in Manhattan and nothing else, you could really make that work. But once you
Yes.
start mixing the human element with automation, that's where the dangerous part of autonomous vehicles starts to come in my mind, anyways.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these deaths that you hear with the full self-driving and the autonomous vehicle malfunction, et cetera, a lot of them have actually factored in with human error, um, as the cause of a lot of it. So
Right.
that's just my take on it, anyways.
My take is a little more simpler than that. I still think, and I'm going to be a little, it may sound sexist here. I think men in particular still like the idea of having control of a power vehicle.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot more
Right.
people than we realize, like, men, essentially, yeah, I can say, we like to, take
Yeah.
control or what have you. But I think just like generational things is that, our generation and above, especially, we want to drive our own vehicles. I want to drive my own vehicle.
I'm planning on driving my own vehicle until either my kids take my keys away when I'm an old man or
The
everything's
government takes them
autonomous.
away. Yeah.
Yeah, the government takes them away. Okay, fine.
Yeah, but no, it's yeah, I mean just something about having your own vehicle is kind of the thing right there. So,
Hmm.
yeah, and then we're going into a few more of these.
Overpromised is the one where we're at.
Yeah, and yeah,
I
I'm trying
mean,
to like look at some of the bullet points. Mostly level 2 systems requiring constant human supervision.
that's accurate.
I honestly don't think that it's going to be we're ever going to be in a place where we don't need human supervision, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you're right.
This is kind of I go back to my experience in the automation industry. The holy grail of an automated factory is what they call a lights out factory, where you just flip the switch and the factory just does it all for you and nobody has to be there.
Mm,
And it hasn't happened yet. People keep
Right.
talking about it, people keep talking about it, but it's just not, I don't think it is going to happen.
Hmm.
And this is kind of where I think AI is in the same boat as well. You're going to have AI do this for you, AI do that for you, but
Yeah.
at some point, you need a human intervention with this.
Yep. And just the app we talked about last week, the Duckbill AI app, it has a human component checking to make sure that you're scheduling your stuff correctly and things like that for the 24 hours or whatever it was or business day. So
Hmm.
there are components built in like that. Another one of these is repeatedly missed timelines by companies. I know we mentioned
Hmm.
Elon Musk. We
Yeah.
said that OpenAI has missed some of their own self-dedicated timelines. Um, I, I do think you and I kind of agree on this one. That's kind of normal for a company, but it does seem like some of them promise more than what others do, and they don't seem to get it as often. That hit
Yeah,
the
I
mark,
mean, the promise, you need those over promises to get investors sometimes.
which
Um,
can cause a bubble.
yeah, which could cause a bubble and everything. So I think like a lot of investors when they start buying into the hype, actually it was just recently announced the metaverse.
Oh,
Just yeah, Zuckerberg just shut it down. He spent like I think upwards of like 50, 60 billion on it or something like that. I can't tell you the exact numbers, but you remember he hyped that thing up like it was going to be the next greatest
he did.
thing of in the
He
world,
did.
and yep, just
It's gone.
fell apart, just completely fell apart. And
And meanwhile, 50 to $60 billion went where?
um, I don't even know. I can't even tell you.
I couldn't even tell
Somebody's
you either.
pocket.
It's not government misspending. It went somewhere.
Yeah, so if you think only the government misspends, surprise, private companies do the
Yeah.
same exact thing
Yeah.
half the time as well. But
Exactly.
like either way, because I know IBM, they have their chip factory in Columbus. They kind of miss their timeline as well and everything. But that is a massive
Hmm.
chip factory there. And when you're talking about something on this scale and you try to put a timeline to it, and you're trying to build something and you're trying to put something together, the salesman can get ahead of the engineering.
Hmm.
And I have
Oh,
firsthand experience with this. The salesmen tell you this, that, and the other, and I can only give you this and that. You're gonna have to forget about the other, and that's kind of where a lot of these timelines, and that's where kind of the hype versus reality comes in, I say.
I would agree. I want to talk this one because I remember one of these when it came out. Now we're talking about what went wrong. We're talking about consumer AI
Hmm.
hardware flops, and the first one I want to talk about is the Rabbit R1.
Hmm.
Brian, I don't know if you knew much about this, but when it came out, one of my favorite YouTubers that I watch for AI information didn't hype it up. He did a good job, but he did say this is what it is, and he showed what it is, and he was very unbiased. And as he's showing it, it's basically a little square that you pin on your clothes and it records your
Hmm.
day or records everything. And then you have like an AI playback feature where it can tell you like who said what and what happened at this meeting. And it can take notes for you and do some other things. Like you could try to possibly get it to update your calendar if it heard something like, oh, on this date we have a
Hmm.
meeting. And they sold 100,000 units, but only have 5,000 active users after 5 months. And all I thought when I
Yeah.
saw that product was that's a huge invasion of privacy for everybody around you.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Uh,
Oh, that sounds like a spy tool almost.
yeah, I'm like, why do you need that?
Yeah, and imagine you're, working with someone at the office and you're talking to them about this and that or what have you, and suddenly you find out they have this pin and every
Hmm.
interaction with you, they're recording it. Like you automatically, as a person, you're going to question their motives.
Absolutely.
Period. Like
Well,
anybody will. I
and
would.
I'll share this with you as a former high school principal. I can tell you that I know this. In Pennsylvania, we're one of the states where it is illegal to record somebody unless you are telling them you are recording them.
Hmm.
Or if a crime is being committed, you're allowed to record. If you believe a crime is
Yeah.
being committed, you're allowed to record. Other than that, you're not allowed to record without somebody's permission.
Yeah,
Where does
that's
this factor in with that? But now, as I'm bashing this hardware product, I
hmm
got to say that's usually where a company will pivot and create something out of the box after they get started. I think
hmm
YouTube was originally supposed to be an online dating site, and then
hmm
it turned into YouTube. I hope Rabbit finds a way to turn this into something amazing, like maybe a note taking at a lecture or something like that. I don't know. I'm hoping they could find
Well,
a way to turn it into something amazing because then it would be
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I mean I can see, you have a meeting or a town hall or whatever. And you let everyone know, be like, okay, Rabbit R1 is gonna record this and analyze it with AI and what have you.
Hmm.
And you just have the meeting as you normally would, and
Right.
then it just kind of summarizes it for you.
Yep.
So, I can see it maybe working at a small scale if they sold it correctly, but um yeah, I'm not really sure where the kind of the idea came in that was gonna be a big hit, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
hey, fortune favors the brave, I suppose, and sometimes you win some, you lose some. So
Hmm.
that's kind of all that is right there.
Yeah.
And should this have just been an app? I feel like these are uh, basically apps.
Yeah.
It is just a glorified app
Yeah.
where you can get just Gemini and Notebook LM. This is basically Notebook LM Live,
It is.
essentially. That's all it is.
Hmm.
So yeah, it just seems like a kind of an overhyped thing. But another thing I feel is overhyped, AGI or artificial general intelligence.
Yeah.
What a lot of people don't know about this, and you're giving a good laugh.
I
This is
am.
where machines think like humans and have the actual intelligence of a human being. Um,
Oh,
I
you want to talk about
it's
overhyped? Where we were at the beginning of 25 compared to where we
hmm
are right now as we're getting close to the end.
hmm
They were projecting we were going to be there pretty soon as like even as soon as 2026.
hmm
I think it's safe for you and I to say it's not happening right now.
No,
It's not
no.
happening in 26.
And I've heard arguments both ways. I just read an article. One tech executive said that LLMs are a dress rehearsal for AGI. Then I hear a couple other, tech executives saying AGI is a marketing term and it's not going to happen. So what do we have going on here? And I read kind of a good analysis of it one time. I wish I had the article. They were talking about we have to specify what intelligence is as a human being, and no two human beings can actually agree what intelligence is.
I was just, are
Um,
we even qualified to do that as a species? Let's be realistic here. Like,
yeah,
have you
no,
seen warning labels on products?
hmm
I,
yes, do
I
not
just,
eat.
yes, do not eat this, even though it says poison on the side. Do
Yeah,
not eat
exactly.
it.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the whole thing. We can't even agree what intelligence is.
Yeah.
Let's look at the political spectrum right now. If you're on one side of the political spectrum, you think you're intelligent and the other side's stupid.
Hmm.
The other side thinks the same exact thing, and both sides have their points and everything.
Yeah.
And we can't even agree on who's intelligent.
Right.
So what is intelligence? Nobody really has an agreement on it. And this is where I kind of fall into the camp that AI or AGI is just a marketing term, and it's not
I
really
think it
something
is.
that's achievable, to
I
be
agree.
honest with you.
I agree. Now let's move to the unglamorous winners, if we shall.
Ooh.
Because there are some things out here that people are like, okay, we've kind of had that, but AI has made it better.
hmm
And one of those things is email and spam filters and fraud detection has gotten better with AI's use.
Yes, that
Yep.
this is actually one aspect where I think we should really be pushing AI development
Hmm.
is this kind of like spam uh
Yeah.
detection and everything
If
because
AI can get them to quit calling my phone, which is
hmm
really hilarious because who really calls anybody anymore? I it just drives me nuts. I ever get these phone calls all the time from the area in which I
hmm
went to college. My friends from that area, if we talk to each other, we text. There's no, deep conversations unless we agree to text beforehand. Like, hey, just give me a call. Um,
that's the thing is like who answers a phone call with that you don't know the number anymore.
right.
Like on the rare times that you do call, like and you
Hmm.
see a number that you don't recognize, you don't answer that phone call anymore.
No,
Like
no,
you
got to
don't
get better at that. But
like you don't deal with that.
there's also some other good ones. Gmail's AI has been it has been increasingly catching sophisticated threats, which is a positive note. And I wished this next one, I really wished I'd have dove into this one a little bit. I saw the link, I didn't click it, but it was basically the United Kingdom's government. An AI tool was able to recover 480 million pounds in 1 year of,
Hmm.
I believe, fraudulent spending or something along those lines. That's pretty amazing, in my
Yeah, that
opinion.
that is a good idea there.
Yeah.
Just to kind of prevent fraudulent spending because a lot of these hackers and what have you, they identify a pattern in your computer and they kind of leak into it.
Hmm.
And a lot of times the human eye can't catch it until it's too late.
Yeah.
Whereas a machine can identify these irregular patterns. And once they start to see these sort of irregular patterns, and they're like, okay, this is fraudulent activity, and now they can
Hmm.
jump on it a lot quicker. So,
Yes.
like, these are the things that, AI can really shine. And I think a lot
Yeah.
of people will agree this is a good use case of AI. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
I think the focus has been AGI, but the actual results have been tools like this.
And these tools that are kind of unsexy in a way, like to
Hmm
put it a term, they're not exactly something that you're dangling in front of everybody going, look what we did. They're not, let me put it this way. None of the things we said are really front page news anymore. You
yeah,
know?
basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of other good ones as well. Medical imaging.
Absolutely. We touched
The
base on this in our medicine episode, our medical episode.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of FDA approved 873 radiology AI tools this year,
Yeah.
or by the middle of 2025. And this is kind of where, you can use AI to identify, medical um uh Jesus.
Medical
What was it?
diagnoses and
Yes,
stuff like
medical
that. Yeah.
diagnosis. Yeah. See, th this is where kind of the human element comes in. I fumble over my words, but you go to a doctor and everyone like kind of rips on doctors because they have to tell you a pattern, they have to tell you this, but they can miss things. They're human as well.
Hmm.
But the AI can pick up these patterns and everything, and this can really help a doctor. So,
And it
this
has
is
been
another
according to
kind of
this
winner.
data. According to this
Hmm
data, it's been helping.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, these are the things that, aren't getting all the attention and everything. Language translation. I've seen
Right.
tools are starting to develop. You walk up to someone on the street, you don't speak their language, and you speak into the device, you ask them a question, and then it spits out the answer, and they kind of give you the response into there, and it spits out, English back to you. And
Hmm.
this could really help if you're like a tourist or you want to visit a country you don't know the language. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
And
these are directions that AI needs to go to, and I think we're going to see more of this.
to do a quick piggyback on that, Brian, I read this was right as we were starting our podcast. Research is now they're connecting dots much faster because AI is able to translate research for people that would never read research from another country because they don't understand the language. So
Hmm
as it's going on in Asia and Europe and the United States, it's able to connect dots and link research so that people have a better understanding of what's going on. That's
Oh yeah,
pretty neat. But who's going to talk about that? You know?
yeah. No, it's
Um,
like these are the things that are starting to creep in and everything
yes.
because everybody sees the AI generated videos on social media, which is turned to like AI slop wasteland almost.
Yeah, those were
Um,
funny at first, but now I'm going, okay, I mean,
I yeah.
they were funny at first. Some of them were really good at first, and now I'm kind of annoyed going, that's fake. That's fake. No way that happened. You know,
hmm Yeah, it's getting pretty ridiculous. And
maybe
over
that's an episode.
on Thanksgiving, my dad showed me or showed everyone at Thanksgiving video of about 30 black bears climbing on a house or what have you. And my brother-in-law kind of looked it up. He's like, "Okay, no, this is fake." And
Yeah.
he took a picture of my dad actually. It was kind of funny. And he had the to like a dozen images of my father climbing on the roof, and there you go. There's like 12 of my dad's
There you go.
climbing all over the roof and everything.
The
So
roof is under attack.
yes, by my father. But no, it's just kind of I think that's sort of fallen to the wayside. I mean, I'm guilty. I tried an Instagram account where I thought it'd be funny to do ridiculous images that made absolutely no sense.
Right.
Uh, didn't make the money I thought it would. Didn't make any money at all. So, but I think once that kind of eye rolling content goes away, we're going to see some real stuff here.
Yes,
But like either way, this kind of leads us into our final segment, really.
it does. The
Looking ahead.
Claude, yeah, Claude telling us what the red flags are and the green flags are, and it's kind of equal,
Yeah,
whether or not
definitely.
there's a bubble.
hmm Yeah, so AI powered everybody's AI powered now. Like
Yep.
you see a tool, you see this, you see that, it's powered by AI.
Yep.
I've seen a meme about this. It was the Wolf of Wall Street meme where Leonardo DiCaprio's character goes to one of his proteges and says, "Sell me this pen," and this has pictured below it says powered by
AI.
AI.
Powered by
So
AI. Yeah.
yeah, so you're kind of getting that hype into everything right now. Also, like we were talking about the timeline, it's just unrealistic. A lot of people are
Yeah.
promising everything, but they can't deliver anything.
Correct. And by doing that, they're getting more money pumped into them, and
Hmm.
that causes a bubble. That's part of what causes a bubble.
Yeah,
Um,
pretty
you know,
soon that money's not going to come in anymore.
something that wasn't brought up that I think is a little bit of a red flag, and maybe you and I notice it a little more because we're more heavily involved in AI than possibly the average person, but most of our audience is layman's anyways.
Hmm.
For me, I was kind of expecting to see a bigger change in 2025, not to do a year in review or anything, but like I was expecting to see a little bit of a bigger change in the
Hmm.
tools. In my opinion, they're still LLM-ish. And I guess I was expecting more based on the hype at the beginning of the year in terms of how far AI would have come. It,
Hmm.
you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
I mean, I was kind of like wondering that too, but they're also kind of refining those models behind the scenes and everything like
Hmm.
that.
They
You
are.
hear, oh, the latest model, oh, version 4 came out, oh, version 5 came out, oh, 9.7 came out, or what have you. And I think a lot of it's being done behind the scenes, and the
Hmm.
front end isn't
Absolutely.
showing you as much as what's going on, really.
Yeah.
And that's where people are starting to figure out, be like, why am I paying $20 a month for this LLM when I could just get this free Google Gemini or free Copilot, essentially.
Yeah.
And
Um, well, moving
yeah.
on, let's talk about some green flags that they see.
Hmm.
Okay. Or
Hmm.
of real innovation. Now, this part was a little vague, but they might be right about some of this. I do believe AI is being more transparent, or the owners of AI are being more transparent about the limitations of AI.
Yeah, I
I would,
think once the hype
yeah.
died down, everyone's like, okay, this isn't quite what you think it is.
Hmm.
And I've actually heard, Elon Musk said something earlier this year. Not that I'm one of his fanboys or anything, but he said that, AI has kind of reached its limits, or LLMs have sort of reached their limits,
I,
and
I do
there,
recall
there,
him
there,
saying that. Yeah.
yeah, there's actually some truth to that because,
Hmm.
at the beginning of the year, it was like, well, what is this? What is this? Okay, what are we going to do next?
Yeah.
And it's been the same thing over and over again.
It's
So,
improving what we have. I mean, they
hmm.
keep using that. I forget what the score is. There's a huge score. They put it through this very complex math and all this stuff. They're using the same scoring model.
Hmm.
And each time the one's getting better and better, and I'm glad they're getting better and better. But as an educator, I always say our standardized tests do not measure what the kids are supposed to be able to do for their
Hmm.
careers.
Yeah.
And yet here we are, we're in year two of AI fully, and we're using the exact same measures, the exact same scoring system.
Oh
Got to
yeah,
work on that.
definitely. Yeah. So, but I think transparency, the end of the year really brought everyone's like, okay, what are you using AI for? When are
Yeah.
you using AI? And I think that's something we've stressed over and over again as far as, if you're going to use AI, be transparent about it. Let everybody
Yes.
know. Like
Yes.
we're blatantly telling people, "Hey, this outline was written by AI."
It
So,
was. Yep.
and
Not a
like
problem with it.
I'm fine with saying it, but I'm giving my thoughts on it too. So, this
Yep.
is a fun thing, or no, I shouldn't say a fun thing, but an obvious thing in my
It
thing right there.
takes a little less stress off of us too. Once
Yeah,
every 10 episodes.
yeah, definitely. It's just kind of nice and everything. Well, takes the stress off of one of us. I still gotta like feed the text and everything and kind of massage the LLM a little bit, but we
Yes.
that's okay right there. So let's kind of we'll still be here in 5 years.
Hmm.
I think LLMs are here to stay, but I think it's just
Yeah.
kind of your standard thing right there. Fraud detection, cybersecurity. I think
That's not going
that's
anywhere.
gonna
Yeah.
be that's gonna be one of the big ones.
Very safe to
Especially
predict that.
yeah, definitely. So healthcare, I think we've identified that as
Hmm.
well. I can see people taking blood samples, and every month you take a blood sample, and AI can predict, how you're doing or where you're going to be. So
Yes.
I think those are some really good ones, but what's going to fade away?
So, according to Claude, the term generic AI powered in marketing is
Hmm.
going to fade away. I think we all hope so.
Yeah.
Standalone AI hardware mostly is going to go away. I've actually heard that. I've actually heard we're on the cusp, another timeline thing. We're
Yeah.
on the cusp of cell phones and apps not exactly working the way we're used to them working. Like the
Hmm.
apps aren't going to be a thing and the cell phone's going to look different. But that's a hardware
Yeah.
thing. Personally, this is me. This is not Claude. This one's on me. I truly believe sooner rather than later, the term prompting will be a thing of the past.
Hmm.
I think it's going to be much more. You'll start to hear the word provide proper context or what contextual, how do I put this? Phrasing did you use to get the AI to do
Hmm.
what you needed it to do?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, prompting is just going to be a basic one, I'd say, like typing in a calculator almost. So, you have to provide, like,
Yeah.
explain what you want it to do and everything, and kind of work with your assistant, what have you. Um, Kind of interesting one. I'm actually using LLM to help me learn Linux operating systems.
Hmm.
If you're familiar with those, because I just wanted to give it a try, and it's helped me with a lot of the command prompts and everything like that. So, but I'm prompting, I should say, but I'm working with AI, so there's going to be, yeah, probably some sort of different terminology and everything.
Hmm.
But real value, um, and I think it's kind of hard to really say where the real value is going to be, but one of the ones that says unglamorous back-end improvements. I believe
Yes.
Claude provided this one,
Yes.
and that's where the true value of engineering comes in.
Hmm.
Is that usually you don't see it until you're like trying to use it, essentially.
Right. Right. I
Uh,
mean, there's nothing to say other than a lot of the stuff that's going to a lot of the stuff AI is going to help us fix is stuff that is on the back end that we don't see in the forefront every single day.
hmm. Yep.
And there is true value in that. And I guess that's going to help not burst the bubble.
Yeah.
But time will tell on that. Time will tell on that.
Yeah, and another one kind of I think this is a major point that we've been making, tools that augment human capabilities.
Yes.
We went over Duckbill last week. There
Yes.
you're using the humans with the AI tools, and I think stuff like that is going to start coming to the forefront more. We're kind of getting ahead to our What's Ahead episode that we're coming out with,
Yeah,
but
we're getting. It's probably because we talked about it. For those
yeah.
of you that are listening, Brian and I have our next 4 to possibly 5 episodes planned
Hmm.
out, almost ready to go. Um, so that's what's nice when you let Claude or another AI tool do this week's outline. You get ahead. Again, we're
Yep.
using the tool as needed. We're being transparent, and it's helping us out. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's kind of where the value lies is people are starting to ask the question, okay, what am I actually supposed to do with this? Because a lot of people I talk to, it's like, what am I supposed to do with this stuff? And I think we've demonstrated a few fun ones so far,
hmm
like with our Thanksgiving dinner,
yeah.
holiday planning, holiday shopping. A lot of those are, kind of fun and enjoyable ways, but,
hmm
some of the, techniques that we use, you can definitely apply those in order to, work add that into your workflow and everything. Um, but kind of to wrap things up, how do we invest our time learning? Like, what are some good ways to invest our time learning these tools? Because this is really where we kind of get away from the hype and get towards the reality of everything.
Well, Brian, I'm going to go down the list on this one for the
Hmm.
sake of time, but I
Hmm.
want you to tell me which one I added compared to which one the one that Claude came up with. Okay, so we've
Hmm.
got focus on understanding the fundamentals, learn tools with proven track records, be skeptical of hype while remaining open to real innovation, critical thinking about AI claims, and continue listening to the Layman's AI podcast.
Well, you definitely put in their critical thinking about AI claims because I know
Thank you.
Claude will always tell you to listen to our podcast because we're that important.
That's right.
No, but no, I mean, those are just some like kind of good advices right there. But hey, you know what? A lot of the things that we're talking about that we, talk about with tools and everything, we have these past episodes going in
Yes.
there, and we actually use try to put practical applications to these, and I want to do more of it too. And I want
Hmm.
to show people how we can actually use this. So, that's where we get into the reality and just like brush aside the hype and kind of go in there and everything. But yeah, as always, listen to Layman's AI podcast. Those are two fantastic fellas that'll give you all the information you need. I don't know what you think about them, but I think they're great guys.
I like them. I like them.
You
I
like
know they
them?
talk about the Cleveland Browns a lot, but I like them.
Yes, yeah, we're not going to go there for a while now. I think we're gonna kind of let that go. But
Yes.
anyway, I think that's a good one to wrap up on. I hope you all had fun listening to Claude's timeline for us. I think Claude put together a nice little outline for us to discuss. Had fun talking about it and everything. But yeah, as always, thank you for taking your time out of your day to listen to us today. My name is Brian.
And I am Adam.
And you have been listening to Layman's AI, and we will see you next time.